एषः गुणाकेशेन भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम् भीष्मद्रोणप्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्यैतान् संवेतान् कुरूनिति तत्रापश्यत् स्थितान् पार्थः पितॄनथ पितामहान् आचार्यान् मातुलान् भातॄन् पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखींस्तथा श्वशुरान् सुहृदश्चैव सेनयोरुभयोरपि तान् समीक्ष्य च स कौन्तेयः सर्वान् बन्धून् अवस्थितान् कृपया परयाविष्टः विषीदन्निदमब्रवीत् अर्जुन उवाच दृष्टमेव स्वजनं कृष्णं युयुत्सं समुपस्थितम् सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परुशुष्यति वेपयुश्च शरीरे मे रोमहर्षश्च जायते गाण्डीवं स्रंसते हस्तात् त्वक् चैव परिदह्यते न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं भ्रमतीव च मे मनः निमित्तानि च पश्यामि विपरीतानि केशव न च श्रेयोनुपश्यामि हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे.
All right. So now the battlefield is all ready and Shankhanad is done. All the sounds, tumul has happened, all the loud sound. And now Arjuna is all excited, with all power and everything, he's telling Krishna, he says, Senayo Ubhayor Madhye, he says, take me to the middle of the battlefield. And he says, Ratham Sthapaya Me Achyuta. Me Achyuta means you take Sthapayate. Sthapayate means put it there or station it there, Me Achyuta. Achyut, we talked about it last time. Me means Mera Rath. You take my Rath in the middle of battlefield. Here he is ordering Bhagwan. So that means he is in full command. He is not taking orders. He is telling even Bhagwan what to do. Yavat eten nirikshe. So, तो भगवान ने उसकी तरफ पूछा होगा किस लिए क्या करोगे तुम वहां जाके what will you do there. He says yavat eta nirikshe aham. I will see who is there to fight with me. Let me see yodhu kaman, who is there, who is willing to fight with me. He's at that point. Avasthitan, who is standing there. Now he wants Krishna. He's calling him Kesha, Achyut here, the untouched one, the one which has there is no breaks in it. It's like continuous. It's one universal form, So that Achyut, please take me there. He didn't say please. He says take me there. There is no respect in that. So he's in total control at this time. He's come prepared. He got his Gandhi. He's there. Now he wants to inspect. So this is how Arjuna is in the beginning. So we'll see how his confusion brings him down. So he wants to see Yodhu Kaman, who are there, desirous of war. So Durbuddhe Dhart Rashtra, those Durbuddhi means those who are not thinking, those who have, who doesn't see the consequences of this war. For those people, Durbuddhi Duryodhan, that Dharta Rashtra is for Duryodhan, but for all the sons of Dhritarashtra. So and those who are there to please him. They have come to give up their life for this Durbuddhi, Duryodhan. What can I say? So now he's basically telling Bhagwan to take him to the middle of the battlefield. So he can strategize what he should do. So now Bhagwan says, okay, whatever you say, boss. But Bhagwan, there is a word here, sthapayate. Bhagwan, in his mind, he's thinking, my job is not to bring your rath in the middle of battlefield. Sthapayate. My job is dharma sthapana. So I am here for dharma sthapana, not for your rath sthapana. But anyway, we'll come to that here. So now Sanjay says, so Sanjay is now narrating what happened when Bhagwan brings this rath to the middle of the battlefield. Eva mukto Rishikesho. Now here Rishikesh is Bhagwan, as when he talked to Bhagwan, Bhagwan said, okay, Gudakeshena Bharata. So when Gudakesh told Bhagwan, Rishikesh, so here Gudakesh is for Arjuna and Rishikesh is for Krishna, just to remember. Now just to, Gudakesh can have two meanings, normally. One is Gudakesha, jiske kesh bade ghane aur ghungrale, that is Gudakesha. But the other one is Gudak Isha. That means who has conquered his sleep. So there is a little story about it in Mahabharat mein. So once they were, all these Pandavas and Kauravas, they were students in the Drona ashram. And one day there was a little lamp that was there, and they were all eating the dinner, or they were just going to, start. They did their Brahmarpadam, and somehow the wind came and this lamp blew off. So there was total darkness. And so somebody came and, tried to fix it. It took some time. And when it was done, everybody else was waiting to get started. And Bhima got up, did his, Purnamada, Purnamidam. He was done with his food. So Arjun thought, how did you finish your food? Everybody was waiting for the light and you can. He says, what does light has to do with food? All you need is food and your hands and your mouths. There is nothing else needed. So that gave Arjuna an idea that why don't I practice in the dark? All I need is my arrows and a target, right? So once I have this practice, then I can become a great warrior. So he just used to practice in the night. He became a Gudakesh at that time. So Sanjay is telling Bharata. Bharata is for Dhritarashtra. So to Dhritarashtra, Sanjay is telling that as it was said by Arjuna, so they moved to Senayor Ubayor Madhye. Now they came to the middle of the battlefield. Sthapayitva Rathottamam. So that great chariot was now stationed in the middle of the battlefield. So now, so where did he take him? Next slok tells that. कहता है भीष्म द्रोण प्रमुखतः, right in front of Bhishma and Dronacharya. So he should have taken him to, Duryodhan. If he had taken it to Duryodhan, we wouldn't see Gita. He would have started his bows and arrow right there, he wouldn't have waited. But in front of the most revered, most worshipful, his teacher and his grandfather. So Bhishma Drono Pramuktaha Sarvocham Mahichitam. Looking at them, suddenly his mind changed. All that excitement started to drain out. and you will see how this the psyche of Arjuna is changing with each slok, So he sees them, though he's come out very excited as we have seen. So, and here Bhagwan says, it doesn't say, Bhagwanu Vacha, but through Sanjaya, it's who's telling Dhritarashtra about it. He says, Pashyetan, look at, you wanted to come in the middle and see everybody. Now you see everybody. Pashyetan, Samvetan, Kuruniti. He says, now look at all the Kurus. He didn't use the word Dhritarashtra here. He didn't use the word Kaurav here. He used the word Kuru, because both the families are part of Kuru. So he wanted to bring that Kuru-ness in him. He wanted to bring his, that if there is, he saw that spark somewhere, that there is a spark of moha in Arjuna, and he wanted to kind of bring it out before the war, so that all the, what do you call it? Jaise thoda sa kisi ko, if you have some problem, but it is at a very, what do you call it, initial stages, then even doctor says, I can't do anything. Let it simmer a little bit. Once it is there, then we'll do the surgery. Phoda hai jaise, so they'll say, okay, let it, become a little bigger. Then we will cut it. So Bhagwan is trying to do the same here. Bhagwan is the doctor here, and he's the patient. So looking at this army, Bhagwan says, no, look, you asked me to bring them here. Look at Kuru Niti. All these Kurus are there in front of you. So Pashya, look at them. Now you decide how you want to fight. So now he says, now Sanjay is telling it to Dhritarashtra. He says, suddenly something changed for Arjuna. Instead of seeing his enemy, he started seeing his family. He started seeing his own people, Swajana. So he says, who is he seeing? He says, Pitamaha, Pita, Acharya, Matulan, Bhratan, Putra. That means grandfathers, fathers, teachers, uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, father-in-laws, all these relationship. He started seeing them not as the enemy or opponent. He started seeing them as his relatives. That is the first sign of moha here, So he says, number 26. So, Tatra Pashyats Sitan Partha Pitranat Pitamahan Acharyan Matulan Bhratan. So now he's seeing all his relation here. Now, looking at that, they are in where? In middle of the battlefield. He sees, just looking at Bhishma Pitama and Dronacharya, his heart is now sinking, So, and he's, after seeing all these things, Kripaya Vishtam. Now he is now like a coward. He is the great warrior Arjuna is acting like a coward. Kripaya Vishtam, like a coward, Vishidantam. Vishidantam means really sad now. His face is full of sorrow. He's like, Idam Abravit. Now he says these words to Krishna. What words is he saying now? He says, Arjuna Uvacha. Now Arjuna says, Hey Krishna. Now he gives 8 points to Bhagwan. Why? What is his condition? Now he's explaining his, what do you call it? His physical system, like a dog, when a patient goes to a doctor, he says, okay, मेरे को सर में दर्द हो रहा है, पेट में दर्द हो रहा है, फलानी है, ये है. So he starts with that. What does he say? And he says, hey, Krishna. See, there, earlier he was using different words. Here he is using Krishna, because Krishna was his, the sweetest name. Krishna is the one that attracts. Krishna is the one who people call in time of distress. So he says, oh Krishna, help me, what is happening to me suddenly? I am seeing my swajana everywhere. My own people I am seeing, I don't see any enemy here anymore, I'm seeing only swajana. He says, and what is my condition? Kehta, angam sidanti. My hands, and I'm not able to hold anything, my hands are losing its grip, and mukham parishushyati. My mouth is getting dry, I can't even speak. It's so, suddenly I am thirsty, and sharire vepatuhu, and I am shivering, and Roma harsha jayate. Roma harsha is the rongte, rongte. So mere rongte khade ho gaye, I'm what do you call it? Goosebumps. I am getting goosebumps. And this is not out of excitement. It is basically out of fear, kind of, or anxiety. And hastat gandeva santraste, that I am not able to hold my gandiv anymore. It is like slipping from my hands. I'm suddenly feeling very weak. Tvak eva paridahyate. My skin is burning. I'm, feverish now. And mana brahmati evacha. My mind is almost like spinning, the chakkar aa rahe hain mujhe. And avasthatum na shokmi. And in this position, I can't even stand. I have to sit down, This is where now he's experiencing what I would call it as a mental breakdown of Arjuna. In these two verses, Arjuna describes his physical systems of what is happening to him. And he's a seasoned warrior. It's not like he's like first time coming for a war. He has every single war he has won. He has fought in several wars. And but what it means is that this kind of anxiety can come to anybody. This is not something that is only for weak people. He's the best example of somebody who's, the epitome of strength. He's the boss. He's the one people look up to. If Arjun comes, everybody shivers, everybody shakes, sabko fever chad jata hai. But in this case, he is the one who is experiencing all this. Anyways, so now he says, where was I? So we have seen from 28 to 30 is all the symptoms that he talks about. So after showing his symptoms, now he talks about what is the result of this. Now he's trying to convince Bhagwan that we are in the wrong place. We shouldn't be here. Why are we here at all? He shows what is the phala of this adrashta phalam. Adrashta phalam means that things that you cannot experience, see. So what is it? Nimittani cha pashyami, viparitani Keshava. Now he's saying, oh Keshava, I see everything ulta. I see everything viparit now. They are all what निमित्तानि च पश्यामि. जो सारे लक्षण जो हैं, everything I am seeing is, opposite to what we thought we were coming to. And na cha shreyo anupashyami, that I don't see any good in all these things. What is the point here? Bhagwan, I'm confused. Why did you bring me here? Now, think about it. This is the same Arjuna who had been preparing for it for years now, that something like this may happen. And in the last attempt, and they tried every possible means of having no war. War is no good, everybody knows that. And they tried every possible means of, not to come to this war. But they had no choice, they were like in such a, they had tried everything, even Bhagwan tried for them, but they did not, they were not able to get across, their thought. So the war was the only option, and they got permission of their mother. The mother said, go for it, you are the Kshatriya, that is your dharma now, because this fight is for dharma and not for your own gain. Now, in previous cases, you saw that he was always referring for things for me and mine. Mere relatives, mere bandhu, mere ye. He did not think about all the other people who were there with him. Bridge, you had a question or point?
Yeah, so, in this Bhagavad Gita text, we are supposed to identify with Arjun, right?
Yes.
So in this situation where his discouragement, despair comes from seeing his family members, extended family members, and having to fight them, in our own lives, while I can imagine such situations in family or business or something where there's someone close to you who has done some injustice to you and you have to sort of go up against them. But in general, why is this setting presented? Meaning, how can we relate to this the way Arjuna is seeing his family members and feeling discouraged, and having to follow his Dharma? For us, what would that be? Like, I can imagine being discouraged or despair due to adversity and things like that.
Yes. So think of it more of that when a time comes of you to stand up for something, and you feel at that moment, you feel very weak. You feel that, that I cannot think of anything good coming out of it, or you want to run away from that situation. That is what we are talking about here. This situation is unique to Arjuna. So it's not like we have to be in a war with our family, that's not the point here. The point is that when we are ready for something and suddenly some uncalled for situation happens and we feel extremely weak, we feel that this is the end of the world, I cannot think beyond it. That is the time where we need Bhagavad Gita. Let's talk about it actually. Let's talk about this. That who is Arjuna? Why is Arjuna the right candidate? Why didn't he pick up somebody else? Why not Duryodhana? He needs more than Arjuna. He is on the wrong. No, we need Arjuna because the Arjuna's heart was pure. He was the one who would melt down inside for somebody else, not for his own. So point is, if somebody is hard from outside, like a warrior, now he's hard from outside, but he's soft from inside. His heart is compassionate. His heart is full of love. That is the person that is ready for Bhagavad Gita. If in our cases, we are maybe soft from outside, but we are very hard from inside. We don't melt. We don't feel that compassion. We don't feel the meltdown in our heart. We don't see, we are not the compassion is not natural. If it is natural to us, that Gita is for us. So what we have to develop is to become like Arjuna, so that what he went through is through moha. So problem is his moha, that needs to be corrected, but not his nature. See, he was a very straightforward person. If he was given a task, he would complete that task. He is not looking for ulterior motives. He doesn't have any, I would say, selfishness in him. And he explains that in his next two verses. So we have to look at Arjuna with a lot of respect. He is a Mahatma, he is a Rishi, who is in a war. And he needs to dispel his moha. So that is what the point is here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was trying to relate it to as an individual. So, for instance, let's say I have moved towards family and sansar, right? And in my heart, I know that the true purpose in life is to aspire to realize this tattva gyan, whatever our true nature. And therefore, at the same time, there's such attachment to, wherever the attachments are. Is that an example of such a conflict where, where there's something within you that is propelling you towards something like that? Similarly, I mean, today in the world, there are so many causes, climate change, this, that, whatever. One should fight for that. At the same time, one may want to run away from. I like that description you gave early on, where you have supposed to stand up for something and you are so full of discouragement or despair, you want to run away from it, just escape from it. I'm just trying to relate it to, so I'll contemplate it. I'll reflect on it.
We can continue talking about it also. But remember that we have to aspire to become like Arjuna also. See the qualities that Arjuna has. He's not an ordinary person. He was the one everybody looked up to. So we have to understand what the moha is. Here the goal is not to understand the situation. Situation could be any. Understand that what happens when we are moha-grast. So first thing is the physical lakshan. And then we are talking about that he had come for a war, for a just war. It was not like he was not there. If he had just walked into a war, he had walked in, ghumte, oh, yahan pe log lad rahe hain. And then he could say that this is unjust, it should not happen. Or he could have said, I'm not going to take part in this war because it is unjust. Didn't he know that he was going to see Dronacharya and Bhishma Pitama? He knew that. He knew who was on their side. He knew who was on his own side. So it was not something that was new to him. So what caused this breakdown? This is not something that he was seeing for the first time. He had fought all these people before also. When they had attacked Virat, the Rajya of Virat, just to find these Pandavas, he had single-handedly fought with all of them. So it is not something that was like a surprise to him. Arey, main inke saath ladunga. That is not like the case. So he knew exactly who he was fighting, what changed in him, So now, let's just look at, now he's showing other reasons why he should not fight. Now, first he showed his physical condition. Now he's incapable of fighting, according to his physical symptoms, he's not able to fight. Now he says, Nibittani na pashyani. I don't see this, all the lakshana of this war are viparitani Keshava. Now these, oh Keshava, oh Bhagwan, oh, oh Krishna, viparitani. I am seeing sab ulta ho raha hai. I thought winning will be a good thing, but I don't see any good in winning also, This word Keshava actually is a very interesting word. It actually, if you break it up, let's say Ka, Isha, Vaha. So Ka is for Brahmaji, So Brahmaji, Sha is for Shiva. Actually, it's a Isha. So Isha is for Shivji and Va is for Vishnu. So Keshava is the one who actually powers all three of them. So somebody, normally people would ask, are they different, Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, or are they one? So the simple Vedantic answer is that Ishvara is using the upadhi of a creator to become Brahma and upadhi of a destroyer to become Shiva, and upadhi means a role, So when he is playing the role of a sustainer, then he is Vishnu. But it's the same Ishwar who is playing all the three roles. So that's the point here. Na cha shreyo anupashyami. I am not seeing anything. Anupashyami means I am not seeing anything shreya, anything good here. I am not seeing anything good here. Hatva swajana ma have. That what do you think? Swajanam, मेरे लोगों को खुद को उनको मार के क्या हमें अच्छा दिखने वाला है? मुझे सब उल्टा ही उल्टा दिख रहा है भगवान. I am seeing everything opposite. Bhagwan is silently listening and he will go through each of his points and destroy. It's like a lawyer who's just waiting to see the flaws in his arguments. So we have seen that his initial enthusiasm is gone. He is now standing very weak. He is not able to stand up, and he's now giving arguments in support of his weakness. See, yahan pe he's continuing to do that. So what is the point of killing my own people? Swajana. So all the lakshana I am seeing, all the symptoms or all the things are totally opposite of what it's supposed to be. So now he says, and now he's seeing drashta phalam. This was a drashta phalam. इससे क्या हो जाएगा? Drashtapalam is what will happen. I don't see, that there is nothing shubh in it. But if you say that, okay, you know what? You are going to become the king. You are going to rule this world. So why don't you just fight for that? Forget about anything else. Fight for your own good, for you and your own people. So he says, nah, Bhagwan, I don't want to. Na kankshate vijayam Krishna. I don't desire to be a winner here, And nacha rajyam sukhi nacha. Rajya ka sukh bhog ke bhi kya kar lenge hum log, He's like totally, kya bolte hain usko? Totally drained. Totally, all his like energy is drained out of him. He doesn't see. Jaise, suppose you have a kid who is now preparing for some exam. He says, okay, he's all prepared. And then final day, he gets goosebumps, he gets scared of what will happen. What if I fail? What if I don't do it? Then he says, Mom, what's the point in this exam? I really don't want to get into it. I don't want to, you think it's a big thing. For me, I would rather lead a very simple life, take somewhere, Ganga Kinare, go sit down, do some meditation. What is the point here? It's, I don't want to, take a challenge like that. So he's scared of this big challenge. Na kankshate vijayam, I don't desire this war, this victory. If you think this victory is going to give me some glory, I don't want it. Krishna, nacha rajyam sukhi nacha. neither I want the Rajya. You know, somebody says, okay, you will be the king. You can enjoy this great Kim no Rajyen Govinda. Let me read it from here. Kim no Rajyen Govinda, Kim Bhoger Jivitenava. What is the point of this victory if we have to kill our own people to get that? You know, I don't see any good happening with this one. Now, this is not coming from Vairagya. If it was coming from Vairagya, then Bhagwan would said, you know, you're right. What is the point? Actually, Rajya is Tyajyam anyway. You know, all these worldly pleasures are Tyajyam. Our scripture says so. So he's actually quoting the scriptures, but at the wrong time, you know. If he wanted to do that, he could have done it, you know, earlier. But he was doing it in the middle of battleground. He himself said, take me to the middle of battleground. It was not like that Krishna took him there by force. This was his choice. He had decided the war. He was the one who participated in the decision making. And now he's getting a cold feet. So this is not happening, what do you call it, by vichar. Though he says, I have thought about it. That doesn't mean he has thought about it long enough. He thought about it in the moment. So it is not the vichar that is required for Vairagya. See, Vairagya goes through many, a long process of detachment first. So it doesn't happen instantaneously. It doesn't happen when you see somebody and it happens. No, it has to become part of you. It has to be in you to happen. Like, say, take an example of Buddha, right? So Buddha had Vairagya that was simmering for the time he was born, you know, that Vairagya was in him. It was not something that happened because he saw four things. It was already there. That thing brought it to the surface. And then he kept thinking about it. He did a lot of mananam before he said, okay, you know what, this world is not for me. I have to find a solution for dukkha. Here, the dukkha is not universal here. Here, dukkha is specific to Arjuna. So he's running away from his own selfish dukkha, of his own selfish moha. It is not because that he thought of worldly at a grandeur scale. He was not thinking big. He was thinking only for himself. He had not thought or all the that Sat Akshoini Sena that was following him. What will happen to them? What will happen to his own brothers? Bhima and Yudhishthira, who are looking up to him to lead the war. So he was thinking for himself. He says that, na kankshate rajyan. I don't desire kingdom. What about Yudhishthira? What about Bhim? What about your wife Draupadi? Who was insulted and humiliated. You have to stand up for that. He didn't think about it at all. At that point, this is what is moha. Does that answer your question, Bray? That moha is where spontaneously you get cold feet. That you are not thought through this whole thing. Though he had thought through about it, but everything just went down the drain.
Right. No, I think it makes sense in the way you're asking us to abstract the moha-related obstacle that prevents us from fulfilling our duty. But in this situation, like the next verse says, कि जिनके लिए हम राज्य और भोग की इच्छा करेंगे, जो चाहने वाले हमारे, वही अब प्राणों की आशा का त्याग करके युद्ध के लिए तैयार हैं. तो it's a very specific, it's like the maximum possible kind of conflict or moha.
So he says, even if, see, तुम्हारे स्वजन है, you may feel that, but do they feel the same for you? they are ready to kill you. They are here to come and kill you. What about that? Don't you want to at least fight for your own life? He says no. So actually, it reminded me of one verse from Bhagavatam. There is a story of Rantidev, who was a king, right, from Ikshvaku dynasty. And he was such a great king that one time Bhagwan himself asked, Mango, kya mangte ho tum? I am so pleased with you. Ask me something. So he says exactly like he was saying, Arjuna was saying, Na kangshate vijayam Krishna, na rajyam sukhina cha. He says, na toham kame rajyam, na swargam, na punarbhavam. ये भगवान, मुझे न राज्य की इच्छा है और ना ही स्वर्ग की इच्छा है, ना कि उसके बाद कुछ ग्रेटनेस मिलेगी उसकी इच्छा है. काम्ये दुख ताप्ता नाम प्राणी नाम आर्ते नाशनम. That I want to stay in the heart of the dukhi people, so that I can help destroy their dukkha. That was his desire. So I don't see anywhere where Arjuna has this kind of desire. He just wants to run away from the situation. That is the problem.
So it's a false
So
kind of virtuosity or something. Not false, but deluded or not clear seeing.
See, what happens is कि जो सत्य होता है ना, एक सत्य होता है और एक झूठ होता है. जब झूठ को आगे बढ़ना होता है ना, तो वो सत्य का चोला पहन के आगे बढ़ता है. So he has to prove himself that he is, whatever he is saying is justified. So he is trying to justify the false narrative here, and that is what is happening with Arjuna. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's actually very helpful, because I can see in many situations that there's a viprit bhav. Or
viprit bhav is where we want to justify our weaknesses by glorifying it. See, now this is his weakness, right? He's showing his weakness. He's step by step he has shown कि क्या उसके हाथ में धनुष नहीं पकड़ा जा रहा है, उसे गला सूख रहा है, शरीर तप रहा है, रोंगटे खड़े हुए हैं, he's showing all those symptoms and he's still glorifying it, that this, what good is this? So we do that too, when we want to run away from something, we say, अरे यार मैंने छोड़ दिया, ये क्या है, पाके भी क्या करना है? What good is that gonna do me? So I am ready to drop it. I am the great guy who's dropping it. अक्सर होता है जब प्रेम में कोई धोखा खा जाता है ना, when somebody gets rejected, then he comes back and says, you know what, I thought love is just useless, what is the point? It is. So I just gave it up, So he takes the credit and he takes the glory in that also, So for weakness also we glorify it as greatness. So this is exactly what our great Arjuna ji is doing, Though he's a great man, there's no doubt about it. But there are weak moments. Everybody has that. And, Bhagwan will go through each of his points to destroy that. So we'll go through that. And so, te ime avasthita yuddhe prana tyaktva dhanani cha. So ये सब लोग जो अब लड़ने आए हैं मुझसे, they are ready to, give up everything to fight. So what is the good in that? So he's trying to now convince Bhagavan that we should now यहाँ से छोड़ के चलते हैं, Now कहते so even if we get this, it is not going to make us happy at all, And he's saying it for himself though. So remember, he's not saying for Pandavas. He's not representing Pandavas here. He's only representing Arjuna. And as Arjuna, he forgot that he is a general. He is the commander. He may not be the commander in chief, but he is the one who is looked up to. So there is a responsibility that is involved in that, which he is forgetting totally. He doesn't even bring it up that कि उसका क्या होगा, what if I don't fight, what will happen to my brothers, what will happen to all the 7 Akshohini Sena that has come behind us, what kind of example am I setting here, so he didn't think about all these things. So what we'll do is we will stop here, and if you guys have any questions, we can take that, and this is a very interesting portion actually. Why does the Bhagavad Gita start from Arjuna Vishad? Why not start from the Gyan itself, जब भगवान ने ज्ञान देना शुरू किया तो तब अर्जुन? No, we have to first understand the symptoms before we see the solution, so that is why symptoms are very important to understand. कि किसका इलाज कर रहे हैं भगवान, what is he trying to fix? What is the need for Gyan anyway? I can be okay without Gyan. 99% of the people come and go without any Gyan. So what is the point? So anyways, any thoughts, questions?
Rajiv, quick question. So Arjun, this Vishad is because of his attachment to, so he's scared that he's going to lose all the people that he's going to.
Vishad comes from wrong understanding. It could be for any reason. When we don't understand the truth, we don't understand the reality, then we don't understand. So we get our attachment is not because of the because of relationships. Our attachment is because we think without this I am incomplete. So this is like if something happens, then a part of me will be taken away. So that is the reason why we have Vishad. Vishad is never because of a reason. It is because of wrong understanding. So this is what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. That is why Bhagavad Gita is so beautiful, so great, because it goes to the deepest cause, which is not even, because symptoms we can fix, but symptom fixing it'll come back in some other form. Till we understand the cause of this moha, these type of problems will keep coming. So the way to destroy moha is only through Gyan.
But Rajiv, there's another very important perspective that you pointed out, which is that Arjun was a Mahatma. He was well practiced in everything, and he was disciplined. He had his senses under control, and he was clear about his dharma as a Kshatriya.
Yeah.
In fact, the true perspective would have been if he, as you were saying, to think of the welfare of his kingdom, the subject of his kingdom, if he does not fight this war.
Yeah.
But suddenly he becomes very inward and makes it very personal.
Very personal.
Right. But for us to relate to this, in part, we have to be clear about what is our dharma, like that, where दूसरों के हित के लिए, for the welfare of others, family or whatever it is, society, we are so committed to something that if in the fulfillment of that duties some obstacles arise, then we are wanting to withdraw from it, and then it's the wrong kind of withdrawal. So that clarity of dharma or duty is also part of the situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Rajiv ji, often we use dharma and duty interchangeably, but is there a difference? I'm thinking from Bhishma's perspective. He thinks to be on the Kaurava's side is his duty.
Yeah.
Right. But he knew all along that he was on the side of adharma.
Yes.
So is there a difference between duty?
And we will see that. Actually, abhi iske baad, now Arjuna is going to tell ki what is the dharma. He'll teach Bhagwan what the dharma is, ki uska kul dharma and jati dharma, all these things he will relate, which are irrelevant to the thing. But he will, because he has to justify his running away, So it is not between right and wrong. See, sometime last time also I said, it is not, problem is never between choosing a right from wrong. It is always between right and a better right. What is the higher good? Between prayas and shreyas, we have to choose the right thing which is good for a bigger cause. So always look for a higher cause in life,
Do you
अगर
think
सिर्फ अपने लिए जीना है तो ठीक है,
जी.
कीड़े मकोड़े भी अपने लिए जीते हैं, कुत्ते बिल्ली भी अपने लिए जीते हैं. We have to, as a human beings, we have to live for a higher cause. That's the point here. It goes for all of us, we are all in the same boat. But this is what the goal of this text is, to remind us, and the highest goal is to know your own self.
Do you consider Bhishma to be wrong in his decision to side with the Kauravas, or do you think it was okay for him to commit to his vow?
You know what? That discussion happened many times in Mahabharata, and it happened right before he was dying. And he says that I was committed to this, so I had to do it. But, he says there were others who were not committed. They could have not chosen that path also, like Drona was not committed.
Correct.
He could have walked out, or for that matter, some of the other people. But point is, जब right or wrong का question नहीं है यहाँ पे. Question is that he could have done better. Yeah, he could have done better. He could have done better when Draupadi was
I know. Yeah.
in the, it was happening right in front of him. And he questioned, she never talked to him. Last time, he actually called her to ask for her forgiveness.
Right and wrong and good, better, best decision making in any given situation is a matter of perspective. So in the moment, in that particular mindset, in that need to come out as the superior most decision maker, all of those factors play in or play into decision making. And so it's so from that perspective, each one of us make our choices, and Bhishma did too. So from his perspective, that was the best thing that he could have done, and he did that. But from somebody else's, from our vista point, that was the worst thing that anybody could have done. So it's all, there are a lot of factors that weigh in. So to judge anybody's decision as right or wrong is, I think, unfair from anybody's part, So I guess it's just a matter of choice and perspective on which those choices are made.
See, this is the beauty of Mahabharata. Usme koi bhi perfect nahi hai. Even Krishna had flaws. Everybody had flaws in that. Even the Pandavas had their own flaws. So did Bhishma. So point is that how the situation gets. If we don't understand see, that is why Krishna was respected by everybody, because he could think beyond selfishness. Everybody was thinking, oh, मैंने वाव ली है, इसलिए मुझे ऐसा करना है. So जो उसके अंदर ममत्व था, that was a problem. That if he could have said that it is not the right thing, I have to drop my dharma to save somebody else. एक बड़ी अच्छी story है. I don't remember who was that great Mahatma from Maharashtra. Maybe Shekhar ji can tell me. कि उनको एक बारी तीर्थ यात्रा पे गए, तो उसमें एक तीर्थ होता है जिसके अंदर they take गंगा जल from बनारस take it all the way and do the Abhishekam in Rameshwaram. So he was going with his, the बैलगाड़ी में किसी में भी जा रहे थे, तो he saw one donkey who was dying of thirst somewhere in the halfway. So he thought, okay, you know what, I have this Ganga Jal, let me just feed it. Everybody stopped him कि यार ये तो अभिषेक के लिए है, शिव जी के लिए, सब पुण्य मिलेंगे वहां जाके. तो he says नहीं, मुझे यहीं पे इसको पिलाना है, ये तो मर जाएगा नहीं तो, So his heart was like melted for that donkey, So he उसको पूरा अभिषेक का पानी था, सब उसको पिला दिया. No, point is here is that he didn't think that Abhishek is more important than saving a life. So that is what the difference is between a normal person and a great person. When he thinks about somebody, for his own thing is not as important as somebody else. Here, Arjuna is selfish here, very selfish when he's making all these points.
Basically, Rajiv, in the way you're saying that the highest purpose of mankind is to know one's own nature. But in this situation, or the Bhagavad Gita as a whole, there's so much emphasis on action, right? Meaning, yes, one could withdraw from a Gyan Yoga, Sankhya Yoga point of view, like a yogi, or meditate and inquire into the nature of oneself. But here, the particular confusion, etc., is in the realm of action, right? That's one of the key. This is how it has been presented, that yes, the highest goal is to know your own nature, but how should you bring that purpose to a conscious action, or whatever, like a higher level of action?
You're right. There is an emphasis on action also, but that action is in the beginning itself. Uske baad to gyan hi gyan. So point here is ki the problem is moha. अगर प्रॉब्लम कुछ और होती तो उसके लिए कुछ और इलाज होता, बट इसके लिए ज्ञान ही इलाज है. ओनली ये मोह का कोई और इलाज नहीं है. इवन तुलसीदास जी कह गए, कहते क्या है,
मोह सकल व्याधिन कर मूला, तिनते उपजे बहु कर सूला. ये सारे प्रॉब्लम्स इज because of the moha. That means wrong understanding, wrong. सब कुछ हमको जैसा समझ आ रहा है, हमको वही सत्य लगता है, right? So that is that may not be the, but if we understand the broader perspective, see, कभी कहते हैं ना corporate world में भी, think out of the box. So this is out of the box thinking, that here the problem was that he didn't want to fight, but Bhagwan ने उसको सीधा ज्ञान दे दिया, किस लिए? अरे उसको, but that is what is the solution. Solution second chapter में शुरू में आ जाता है, but then he sees that this guy is so mohagrast, he won't understand it. Then he takes him through the path of karma. So path of karma was a diversion actually, not the real solution. So जैसे सपोज करो किसी का इलाज कर रहे हो, तो पहले उसको कहते हैं अच्छा यार थोड़े दिन के लिए ना तुम्हें I cannot do this operation because you have an iron deficiency. पहले थोड़ा आयरन खाओ, you get your iron level to a certain thing, फिर तुम्हारा ऑपरेशन करेंगे. तो इसलिए karma was just a iron so that he gets ready for this gyan.
So as a marg or as a path, karma yoga was explained, or bhakti yoga, but as you're saying, the true intent was to show the gyan, because no matter what path you choose, the focus is always on that.
Yeah.
वेदना शब्द जो है, वेदना मतलब बहुत कष्ट, बहुत दुख, मानसिक ताप, सब तरह के ताप, दुख. हाँ, तो उसको अगर संधि विच्छेद किया जाए, वेद प्लस ना, तो मतलब वेद मतलब ज्ञान, राइट?
Yeah.
और ना मतलब अभाव उसका, तो ज्ञान का अभाव इज कष्ट ओनली, है ना?
सारा विषाद का cause ही मोह, you know, there is no other reason for it. मतलब हम symptoms और देख सकते हैं. We can say, okay, this because of this, but because of that, but because of that. You know, you keep going to the root cause, then you will find कि अज्ञानता ही था सब root cause.
वेदना निग्रह होगा इसमें.
Yeah, exactly.
And therefore, the fundamental confusion always is me and mine, and that's what
Me and
happened
mine.
to Arjun. Yeah.
Yeah. See, देखो ना सारे उसके मेरे को ले चलो, मेरे रथ को बीच में रखो, you know, take me to the center of the battlefield, and मेरे स्वजन, my people, you know, he's seeing. So धर्म तो गया backdoor में, you know. His role as a warrior, his role as the leader was gone, you know. He was only thinking, I don't want to be in this situation. Whether it was out of fear, anxiety, whatever the reason be. But he wanted to run away. And he had to justify his running away. See, हम अपनी weakness को glorify भी करते हैं. You know, this is what our, you know, that's how we want to feel good about it. Though I ran away, but there was a good reason behind it. जैसे भगवान ने भी ऐसे काम किए हैं. He ran away, you know, जब मथुरा छोड़ के द्वारका गए थे, he ran away, you know, but it was not because of any other reason, but he saw a better for the whole Mathura. He saw that these people will flourish more when there is no war. If they were staying in the war zone all the time, then there is no progress going to happen. So he had to take them away from that. So people, that's why he has a name, you know, Ranichodarai, that he ran away from the battlefield. But for him, there was a reason, for a good reason, for the betterment of his people. But यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं है ऐसा.
And Arjun's, it's not like Arjun is necessarily being celebrated for his bravery, like an emotional kind of Kshatriya warriorship. It's more about where, I mean, Lord Krishna is asking him to situate himself in the higher level of consciousness where there's a equanimity, there's even like a peace, and yet he has to fulfill his duty, no?
Yeah. Chalo, we'll continue. We'll try to wrap it up by tomorrow, next Thursday, the first chapter, and then we'll enter the most important second chapter. So, all right. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhagave. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you